In a decisive move, the Supreme Court of India has set a 3-month deadline for the President to take action on bills reserved by governors. This landmark ruling has profound implications for the legislative process and the delicate balance of power between the centre and the states. This decision emphasises the Constitution's emphasis on timely governance and clarifies the roles of various stakeholders in the enactment of laws. The ruling comes as a significant step towards streamlining the legislative process and curbing potential delays in granting assent to crucial bills. The Court's interpretation of Article 201, which deals with the President's assent to state bills, provides much-needed clarity and ensures that the legislative machinery functions smoothly and efficiently. The 3-month deadline, as mandated by the Court, strikes a balance between providing the President with reasonable time for deliberation and preventing undue delays in the implementation of laws. This time frame ensures that the legislative process is not held hostage to executive inaction, and that the will of the people, as expressed through their elected representatives, is given due consideration. This ruling is expected to have a far-reaching impact on the legislative landscape of the country, fostering a more efficient and accountable system of governance. The Supreme Court's intervention has once again underscored the judiciary's role as the guardian of the Constitution and a protector of the principles of fairness and justice. The Supreme Court's ruling also addressed the governor's power to reserve bills for the President's consideration. While acknowledging this power, the Court emphasized that it should not be exercised arbitrarily or as a tool to stall the legislative process. The governor's role, as envisioned by the Constitution, is that of a facilitator, not an obstructor, of the democratic process. The Court categorically stated that reserving a bill for an indefinite period is tantamount to exercising a pocket veto, a power not vested in the governor by the Constitution. Such actions, the Court observed, undermine the will of the elected legislature and create unnecessary roadblocks in the implementation of laws passed by the people's representatives. The Court's interpretation seeks to prevent the misuse of the governor's discretionary powers and ensure that the constitutional machinery functions as intended. By emphasizing the time-bound nature of the President's decision-making process, the ruling reinforces the principle of legislative supremacy and ensures that the elected representatives of the people have the final say in matters of lawmaking. This clarification of the governor's role in the legislative process is crucial for preserving the federal structure of the Indian polity. The ruling reiterates the importance of respecting the mandate of elected governments, while ensuring that the governor's discretionary powers are exercised judiciously and within the framework of the Constitution. Central to this landmark judgment is Article 201 of the Indian Constitution. This article outlines the President's role in giving assent to bills passed by state legislatures, essentially granting them the power to become law. The recent Supreme Court ruling has provided crucial clarity on the application of this article, particularly when it comes to bills reserved by governors for the President's consideration. The Court has emphasized that Article 201 does not bestow absolute discretion on the President. Instead, the President's decision must be guided by constitutional principles and based on sound reasoning. This interpretation ensures that the President's power is not exercised arbitrarily and that there is a system of checks and balances in place to prevent any abuse of power. Moreover, the Court's interpretation of Article 201 underscores the importance of respecting the legislative will of the states. By setting a time frame for the President's decision, the Court has ensured that state legislatures are not kept waiting indefinitely for a response to their legislative proposals. This promotes a more harmonious relationship between the centre and the states, fostering a spirit of cooperative federalism. The Supreme Court's interpretation of Article 201 is a testament to the dynamic nature of the Indian Constitution. It demonstrates how the judiciary can adapt and interpret constitutional provisions to address contemporary challenges and ensure that the Constitution remains a living document, capable of meeting the evolving needs of the nation. This landmark judgment has its roots in a case involving the state of Tamil Nadu. The governor of Tamil Nadu had reserved certain bills for the President's consideration a move that was later challenged in the Supreme Court. The court's ruling in this case has set a precedent for future instances where state bills are reserved for presidential assent. The Tamil Nadu case highlighted the ambiguity surrounding the governor's power to reserve bills and the lack of a clear time frame for the president's decision. The Supreme Court in its ruling addressed these concerns and provided much-needed clarity on the scope and limitations of the governor's power and the president's obligations under Article 201. The court's decision to intervene in the Tamil Nadu case demonstrates the judiciary's commitment to upholding the principles of constitutionalism and the rule of law. By setting a time limit for the president's decision and clarifying the governor's role, the Supreme Court has ensured that the legislative process is not held hostage to political considerations or personal prejudices. The Tamil Nadu case serves as a reminder of the importance of a robust and independent judiciary in safeguarding the rights of citizens and ensuring that the Constitution is upheld in letter and spirit. The Supreme Court's ruling in this case is a victory for the principles of democracy, federalism, and the rule of law. Section 5. Echoes of the Past Commission's Recommendations. The Supreme Court's recent ruling resonates with recommendations made by two significant commissions that have shaped India's constitutional landscape: the Sarkaria Commission, established in 1983, and the Panchi Commission in 2007. Both commissions had delved into center-state relations and offered valuable insights on improving the legislative dynamics between the two. The Sarkaria Commission, established to look into center-state relations, highlighted the need for clear guidelines and timelines for presidential assent to state bills. It recommended measures to expedite the decision-making process and prevent undue delays in granting or withholding assent. Similarly, the Panchi Commission, which reviewed the Constitution's working, underlined the importance of a time-bound framework for presidential action on state legislation. It stressed the need for transparency and accountability in the assent process to ensure smooth center-state legislative relations. The Supreme Court's ruling, by incorporating a 3-month time limit for presidential action, effectively addresses a long-standing concern raised by these commissions. It reflects a commitment to strengthening the spirit of cooperative federalism and ensuring that the legislative process operates smoothly and efficiently. Section 6. Setting a timeline. The 2016 Office Memorandums. In 2016, the Ministry of Home Affairs issued office memorandums addressing the issue of presidential assent to state bills. These OMs proposed a 3-month time frame for the President to make a decision on bills reserved by governors. The Supreme Court, in its recent ruling, has essentially affirmed this recommendation, giving it the weight of law. The 2016 OMs were a significant step towards streamlining the legislative process and addressing the issue of delays in granting presidential assent. However, lacking the force of law, their effectiveness depended on voluntary compliance by the executive branch. The Supreme Court's ruling elevates the 2016 OMs from mere recommendations to a legally binding mandate. This ensures that the time frame for presidential action is no longer subject to executive discretion, but is enshrined in law, making it enforceable by the judiciary. This development marks a crucial shift towards a more time-bound and accountable system of governance. It ensures that the legislative process is not held hostage to bureaucratic delays or political expediency. The Court's decision to incorporate the essence of the 2016 OMs into its ruling reflects a proactive approach to addressing long-standing concerns and strengthening the legislative framework. Section 7. Transparency and accountability, reasons for dissent. The Supreme Court's ruling goes beyond setting a time limit for presidential action on state bills. It also emphasizes the need for transparency and accountability in the decision-making process. The Court has mandated that the President must provide reasons for withholding assent to a bill, ensuring that the decision is not arbitrary or opaque. This requirement for providing reasons introduces an element of accountability to the President's decision-making process. It compels the executive branch to articulate its rationale for withholding assent, making the process more transparent and open to scrutiny. The obligation to provide reasons for withholding assent serves several important purposes. It ensures that the President's decision is based on sound reasoning and not on extraneous considerations. It allows the state legislature to understand the concerns of the central government and potentially address them through amendments or further deliberations. This emphasis on transparency and accountability fosters a more healthy dialogue between the centre and the states. It promotes a spirit of cooperative federalism, where both entities work together to ensure that the legislative process serves the best interests of the nation. Section 8. Fostering cooperation pre-legislative consultations. Recognizing the need for smoother centre-state relations in the legislative sphere, the Supreme Court has recommended pre-legislative consultation between states and the centre, especially for bills that might require presidential assent. This proactive approach aims to minimize potential conflicts and foster a more collaborative spirit during the lawmaking process. Pre-legislative consultations offer a platform for states and the centre to engage in constructive dialogue regarding proposed legislation. This can help identify and address potential concerns or areas of disagreement before a bill is formally introduced in the state legislature. Such consultations can prove particularly beneficial for bills that touch upon subjects in the concurrent list of the Constitution, where both the centre and the states have the power to legislate. By engaging in dialogue early on, potential conflicts of jurisdiction or legislative overreach can be avoided. The Supreme Court's recommendation for pre-legislative consultations underscores the importance of dialogue and cooperation in a federal structure. It promotes a collaborative approach to lawmaking where the centre and states work together as partners to achieve shared goals. Section 9. The Supreme Option, Article 143, Referrals. In cases where bills raise complex constitutional questions, the Supreme Court has suggested that the President consider referring the matter to the Supreme Court under Article 143 of the Constitution. This article empowers the President to seek the Supreme Court's opinion on questions of public importance. Article 143 provides a mechanism for resolving knotty legal issues and obtaining expert legal opinion from the highest court in the land. By referring such matters to the Supreme Court, the President can ensure that decisions on crucial bills are made with the benefit of sound legal advice. This avenue is particularly relevant when a bill's constitutionality is in doubt or when there are conflicting interpretations of constitutional provisions. The Supreme Court's opinion, while not binding, carries significant weight and can guide the President in making an informed decision. The Supreme Court's suggestion to utilize Article 143 in such scenarios underscores the judiciary's role as the guardian of the Constitution. It provides a safety valve for addressing complex constitutional questions and ensuring that the legislative process remains firmly grounded in constitutional principles.